over the last several months, the housing market has shown that it is extremely resilient and strong in the face of the pandemic. To be honest with you, a lot of people thought that the pandemic was going to just decimate housing for this year and next as well. And that just hasn't been the case. The market is extremely strong, it's extremely resilient, and the number of transactions taking place is shocking most of the economists out there. As a result, we are experiencing classic seller's market conditions. But what exactly does that mean? And what does it mean to you if you're planning on selling your home in the next few months? Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team at eXp Realty. And last week, the video I did talked about tips and things buyers can do to prepare and make it so that their offer has a better chance of being accepted in a seller's market. So this week I wanted to turn my attention to you, the seller. And what does it mean to you? What's different about selling in a seller's market? So first, let's define what a seller's market is. And basically, a seller's market exists when demand is stronger than supply, or demand is higher than supply. So when you're talking supply in the real estate world, it's commonly referred to in months worth of inventory. And what that means is, based on the number of buyers out there at the current pace of sales, how long would it take all homes currently listed for sale to actually sell, assuming no new homes come onto the market? Bit of a tongue twister there, I realize, but if we just froze everything at a point in time, said, okay, based upon the number of sales over the past 30 days, how long would it take all of the current active listings to be sold? Whenever you have a number or an inventory level that is less than 6 months, meaning it would take less than 6 months for all of that inventory to sell, it is referred to as a seller's market, meaning that the conditions in the real estate market are more in favor of sellers than they are buyers. Right now, inventory is extremely low and falling. Depending on where in the country you are, I've seen numbers as low as a month, a 30-day supply, 5 weeks. I've seen it sitting at around 3.5 months, up to about 4 months. But either way, the conditions definitely favor sellers over buyers right now. So again, if you're in the market to sell, what exactly does that mean to you? Can you just dictate the terms completely? Can you set any price that you want and know that you're going to get it? Yes and no. You do have more control over the terms. Can you set any price you want and basically refuse to negotiate? No. Your home's going to sit on the market. If you live in an area and your neighbor's house has been up for sale for a while, there could be some other factors at play there based on price of condition of home. Maybe an offer had come in and the terms weren't acceptable and it was rejected, etc. There could be a few different things at play there. So first and foremost, on pricing, when you're in a seller's market, it does mean that you're more than likely going to sell a lot closer to your actual list price. And in many markets, such as Southern California, you're going to sell for over in many cases. We're seeing that where we operate there. In North Texas, Frisco, Texas, where I'm also based, you're not seeing multiple offers pushing prices up, but you are seeing homes sell for at or right near to list price. Now, when an offer comes in for you as a seller, it's also important to realize that you're not just looking at price. Market will always determine price for a home. If you price your home in these market conditions too low, chances are you're going to attract a lot of interest from buyers, receive multiple offers that will bid that price up. Okay, that's what normally happens. If you price it too high, buyers are not in a situation where they'll just rampantly pay for anything, or they'll rampantly pay anything for that house. The house still has to appraise, assuming that the buyer is using financing to buy. In which case, if it doesn't appraise, you're going to have a problem that could cause the contract to fall apart. So you need to keep that in mind when you're pricing the home. You need to work with your agent to make sure that you've set a price that looks as though it's reasonable in the eyes of what an appraiser would see, and it's not going to cause a financing issue. Alternatively, you need to negotiate, especially if the buyer comes in with large cash reserves, and determine up front if there's been that much interest in your home. You may want to try and talk to the buyer and say, if it appraises for something less than contract price, or if it appraises for $10,000 less than contract price, buyer agrees to cover the difference in cash. Okay, so that's one way around that. So you've still got to be aware of that appraisal. It doesn't mean you can just price it at anything. Buyers are still looking for value. They're not just going to write blank checks. So keep that in mind. But it does mean on those pricing negotiations and terms, you are going to be more in the driver's seat and are more than likely not going to have to give up as many, if any, concessions at all. You may even see buyers be willing to cover some costs that are customarily paid for by you, the seller, in the offer instead of raising the price, such as title insurance, such as a home warranty or a residential service contract. So make sure when you receive an offer, you don't focus in solely on the price. I mean, it looks great, but if you get an offer for $10,000, $15,000 above, and you have a buyer coming in with a 5% down conventional financing, and no more money available than that 5% down, you're going to have a problem, especially if the house doesn't appraise and they can't cover it. You're going to be forced into a renegotiation. So look at the overall terms instead of the price, and you may be able to negotiate in a different way. The second thing to realize too is the request for repairs. That's really the second big issue. A buyer has an appraisal done, a buyer has a home inspection done, and there's going to be deficiencies that are found. There almost always is. Even in new construction, the inspector is being hired to find something, and more often than not, they do. Doesn't mean it's a major problem. If you get a repair request and that buyer is asking you to fix everything, maybe every little paint chip, if there's a cracked switch plate or maybe a small tear in a window screen, and they're just going over the top, you're going to be in a position where you can probably push back against that and say, we're not going to take care of that. Usually those items are not going to be a big enough issue to cause a buyer to walk away. A buyer doesn't want to have to start the process all over again, but also realize that once you're under contract, you don't want to start the process all over again either and have to go back to having showings and keeping the house tidy all the time. So there is still going to be some give and take, but definitely not as much as if market conditions were reversed and they were in favor of the buyer. If it's a major item, an air conditioning system that doesn't work or a plumbing problem, then those are items that regardless if they've been identified, you're going to have to disclose those again, even if that contract falls apart, to a new prospective buyer. So chances are you're going to have to take care of it anyway. So bottom line here on those areas, look at the overall terms. Understand that you as the seller are in more control than you would be if it was different market conditions or buyer's market conditions, but that doesn't mean that you can dictate everything and not negotiate at all and draw a firm line in the sand. There's going to have to be some give and take, but those negotiations, you're going to hold the advantage when those occur. So hopefully that helps. If you have any other specific questions, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is directly below, and I'd be more than happy to discuss your specific situation with you and see if we can't help you out.